Welcome to an all-standard Q&A edition of the BumbleKast. I'm your host, Ian Flynn, the Bumble King, and joining me as always is my Bumble co-host, Kyle JCRB Krause.
Hello, we're back, and second time this week, and oh boy, we got some doozies lined up on this one.
Oh my goodness, but we got to get through it because people want their questions answered, and there's so many questions to be answered. So let's just get to it. All of these are standard Q&A, nobody from priority. Those are Mondays. Wednesdays, it's all of you other peoples, all you other lovely question givers. So Kyle, who do we have first?
First up, we got one from Lucas R. When Sonic stopped that black hole from destroying the Earth in that one issue, Death Battle said it most likely transported Sonic to that distant planet or asteroid many light years away. Is that true? Or did that black hole blast him all the way there when it exploded?
Playing fast and loose with physics, I would assume the black hole warped him there under the theory that black holes punch holes through space-time to create wormholes. Black holes aren't particularly known for throwing things away, morally consuming. I know there's, they emit X-rays, which has always confused me because black holes are so powerful they suck in even light. How are X-rays powerful enough to go out? But that's something else altogether.
Black holes are weird, man.
Yeah, dude. I can kind of conceptualize some of the higher level physics stuff when it's out there, but when you get to black holes and really start getting into what they do, it's like, yeah, this is beyond my mortal ken. I'm just gonna smile and nod and enjoy my time on this tiny little speck of rock floating in the infinite abyss.
When what you do is called spaghettification, you know that's some serious stuff. But we're maybe just delicious. I don't know. Here's a question from Cassidy J. How about a shipping of my favorite male Sonic character and favorite female Sonic character? For male, Big the Cat. And for female, Honey the Cat. How would this shipping work?
Yeah. Well, it would be all right. Let's theory craft on this one just for funsies. Functional long distance relationship, because Big would kind of just stay at his place fishing, and Honey would be out there showing off her brands and promoting material and fighting to promote that material and fighting just because fighting is fun and going all over the world. And she comes back and she tells all her stories, and Big kind of nods along because that's cool, Honey, that's kind of neat. And then she's like, hey, I wanted to try out these various outfit options on you. And he's like, okay. And then she realizes yet again that he's way larger than 99% of her clientele, but darn it, it's fun to craft something that fits on something spherical with arms like trees. And it was nice to see you, hun, have fun, I'm going back on tour. And he's like, okay. And then they eventually run into each other somewhere because he's chasing down Froggy. And she's like, what are you doing away from home? He's like, Froggy. She's like, oh, I got it, hon. Well, have fun.
Froggy. Is still the most important thing or person in Big's life. Froggy.
Mm-hmm.
Good old Froggy.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a question from Big Sonic fan Patrick. I was curious if anyone at BumbleKast has actively tried to get their collection of Sonic the Hedgehog games to 100% in completionist runs, i.e. getting all Chaos or Soul Emeralds, Red Star or Special or World Rings, collectibles such as Fire Souls, achievements or trophies or medals, etc., along with getting all levels with an A, S, or SSS rank, and beat all the missions and game modes such as the extra hard mode from Sonic Heroes or expert mode from Shadow the Hedgehog.
No, absolutely not. Number one, I'm bad at video games, so I'm just happy to finish the darn thing. And two, some of the completionist criteria for Sonic games are just plain hard.
Yeah, and they're not worth the time necessarily. To me, at least. Sonic, the classic trilogy, the Genesis trilogy, I have 100% at all of those, I guess. I don't know what you consider 100% exactly, but if you mean playing through it as each character and getting all the Chaos Emeralds with each character, then yeah, I've done that. Yeah, that's really about it. Let's see what else. I did do. I got all the way through Sonic Heroes normal mode. I'm not doing extra hard mode. What? Who? Why does that even exist? I didn't even know that was a thing. I got through it all on normal mode, and I'm like, cool. I'd never have to play it again. And then I hear there's an extra hard mode. I'm like, nope, not going back to that. I don't think I've really 100%ed any modern Sonic game, sadly.
I know I 100%ed Forces because that was pretty easy to
Actually, yeah, Forces is pretty easy.
That's not all titles and everything, or trophies or whatnot, but the in-game content itself, all the red rings and moon medals and whatnot.
I think I did do Generations because that wasn't too hard either.
No, Generations was a delight to play. I just wanted to play it.
Yeah,
anyway.
That's exactly, yeah.
The only speed bump to that was Vector's note pong thing. That one's kind of notoriously difficult.
Yeah, that's really it. But yeah, I just don't really care too much. I say having 100%ed Super Mario Odyssey, but here's the thing: Super Mario Odyssey, going in, getting all the moons, it's generally a delight. It's fun. It's relaxing. It's a good time. There's no moons in there that are outrageously difficult except for that stupid jump rope one. But luckily there's a way around that, so you don't have to worry about it. So yeah, I don't normally worry about 100% in games, but it just depends on what it is, I guess. But yeah, Sonic games, no. Still need to work on Sonic Mania, actually getting through that with every character, but I don't know, someday. Here's a question from Lazy Strawberry. Does Silver have friends in the future? I know he used to have Edmund in the Archie run, but also where are the robots, or Chow, or Wisp, or Zeddy? Since Silver is from a couple hundred years and Zeddy can live to 1,000, it makes me assume that they might still be there in the future. Are we ever going to see Silver's arc in the future?
I don't know. I would say Silver's timeline is rife for exploration because there is so very, very little established about it. And, you bring up all good points. What is still around? What elements from the present have survived and what has changed? And, there are technically reasons for the Deadly Six to be around. Maybe just 5 at this point. Maybe 1. Zavok ate all the others. Zaman being especially ironic, but I don't know. It kind of depends on how much Sega would let us explore that. And in the past, no pun intended, I would have thought not so much, Evan's story notwithstanding, just because they wouldn't want us defining that too much. But then we keep coming back to the fact that we were able to establish Blaze's castle, which to me is a big deal. So maybe we could, or I don't know. I really don't know. It'd be neat to, but unfortunately we only have so much page space at any given time.
Well, darn. You just need more pages. You need a second book. That's what you need.
Yeah, I know, but there are only so many editors at IDW, and there's only so many hours in the day for Sega's beleaguered approvals team.
Yeah, you're right.
And you give me a staff, I will write you 3 books a month. That's not the problem. It's the logistics of everything else.
Right.
And the fact that there are other people who want to work on this, and I can't be that greedy, but...
Darn.
A man can dream.
You should be greedy. You should be greedy.
No, greed is bad.
I
don't care what that movie says. Greed is bad.
Fine. Here's a question from Carmine D. Question for Ian. Since you are working on the Encyclopedia, the book will affirm which games are canon and which are not?
Not insofar as here's the comprehensive list of what to treat as canon. As Aaron Webber so famously put it, everything is canon. But there are a few notable exceptions of games where you can just safely ignore their contributions to the lore, because they aren't. They don't. You can say that happened and then forget about it. They have a question for you, Kyle.
Hit me.
Any thoughts about Castlevania? What's your favorite game? And more.
Ah, yes. I quite enjoy Castlevania. Musically, especially. It's a series with an amazing history of soundtracks. My favorite games, I mean, I like them. All the ones I've played, I have enjoyed. But let's see. Bloodlines is awesome. The Castlevania Chronicles, which is also Castlevania for the Sharp X68000 home computer, and that one's good. Dracula X, Rondo of Blood, both of those really awesome. Like, I don't know, there's just some really solid games across the whole freaking franchise. I tend to gravitate towards more of the classic style, point to point, end to end. Here's the beginning of the level, you get to the end of the level, fight boss, and then go on to the next level, rather than the more open Metroidvania style. But yeah, I still enjoyed Circle of the Moon way back in the day. That was one of the first Castlevania games I actually ever really dug into deep, because that was at the point where I was just getting into Castlevania. I had been listening to video game music remixes. Video game music remixes are what kind of turned me on to Castlevania, actually, because I'd not really given it much attention, and then I started hearing these awesome remixes of it, and I'm like, oh, this franchise has some kick-ass music. So, yeah, that's what got me into it, and that's what I was doing. That's what and it was about that time of Circle of the Moon and the Game Boy Advance, so that was when I was playing it for the first time. So I always have a soft spot in my heart for Circle of the Moon, but yeah, it's just a great franchise all around. So, yes, those are my favorite games. What about you, Ian? I know you like some Castlevania.
I appreciate it in general, but I've not played enough of it to really have a strong opinion.
It's really hard. I will give you that.
Like, the only Castlevania that I've really played start to finish is Bloodstained, and that's not really a Castlevania.
It's in Castlevania and everything but name, really.
Yeah, but I really want to get to... which one was Alucard's game? Was that Symphony of the Night?
Symphony of the Night, yeah.
I really want to play through that one at some point, but it's one of those franchises that I kind of appreciate from a distance.
Sure.
Like, I will enjoy the lore and, as you said, the music and everything, but I haven't actually played it. So I feel a little disingenuous going, yes, I love the Castlevanias, especially that one with that Belmont fellow and the Dracul fella.
Yes, those are the best ones. Wait, that's...
I mean, I'll make that miserable pile of secrets reference all the damn time, but...
The thing I like about Castlevania is, I think we've discussed this before, but it's got the trappings of horror, but it's not actually like a horror franchise. Yeah. Really, so much. It's more of an action franchise, but it's got like a cool Victorian era sort of vibe to it that I dig a lot. So, but it's not like an actual horror, which is good. I'm okay with that. It just has some kick-ass music. All right, let's get to this question from MSF. Are the Soul Emeralds inherently fiery? I always assumed that they just enhanced Blaze's natural abilities, but Sonic in issue 4 of IDW calling them like Chaos Emeralds, but fiery, has made me unsure.
Now, this is where we come down to what is canon and what sticks. But at least in one incarnation, it was said that Blaze's fire powers were derived from the Soul Emeralds. And because she is their guardian, she has those dangerous fiery powers, and that has made her frightening to others, and that's why she is so cold and standoffish initially, is because she's kind of pulling a Frozen, and it's hard to get close to people when you might accidentally flambe them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that sticks still, like if that's even remembered or still a point of it. But for now, until I'm corrected or told otherwise, they are specifically fiery in their nature, but they're also basically Chaos Emeralds.
Interesting. But fiery?
But fiery, yes.
Yeah, something like that. Here's a question from Green Soda. I got a question. Is Egg Robo allowed to be used in the modern canon, or are they a classic exclusive thing now? Because they haven't seemed to appear in IDW, despite some other exclusive bandits appearing, and I was wondering, since the hard-boiled heavies are classic exclusive, has Sega just decided to do the same with Egg Robo?
I don't know, to be honest. Mostly because I just kind of default to egg pawns when we need grunt soldiers, the SWAT bots for the scene. I really, really like Egg Robo in its design and execution, but given their connection with the hard-boiled heavies, it might be better to keep them classic, just to make them kind of special in that way. I know the hard-boiled heavies themselves are classic exclusive, so the Egg Robos themselves, though, I'm not sure. Personally, I'm inclined to keep them classic, just to give them that little extra special something. Because we don't have egg pawns in classic, so maybe it's better to keep the Egg Robos there. I don't know. What do you think? Comment below.
Maybe I will. Oh, you mean people listening?
I don't care, dude. Just drive the algorithm.
Okay, cool. Yes, drive it. Hop in and take it for a spin. Here's a question from Hedgehog2234. Question for both of you. What has been your favorite Eggman scheme in the games? My personal favorite has to be Unleashed. Sure, you may have discarded the Chaos Emeralds along with Sonic, but we finally got to see Eggman Land. Take this time to go on a tangent about the Doctor's schemes.
The schemes. I mean, you make a real good case for Unleashed. He actually manages to make Eggman Land.
Right, yeah.
I mean, boom.
And we kind of do that in Colors, too.
Yeah.
Essentially. I mean, he's always talked about making a big old, theme park and stuff, and he finally actually did it. But obviously it was cover for a giant space laser that killed things and was being powered by aliens. Was it a mind control thing? I don't remember, dude. I played through Colors and I enjoyed it, and then immediately gone out of my head. That's how things work for me now.
That's the key distinction, is with Unleashed, he shatters the planet and awakens an Eldritch horror specifically to convert it into battery power for Eggman Land.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in Colors, the interplanetary, or did he call it interstellar theme park? No, I can't remember.
Maybe it was interplanetary, interstellar theme park. Was it both?
Yeah, maybe. But he made the theme park as a front to hide his giant world mind control ray. So the mind control ray is definitely a more sinister plot in that it's behind the scenes and built off of the life force of an entire sentient race. But there's also just something fun to say, I beat up Cthulhu just so he could turn the lights on. Something about that just feels more Eggman-y to me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I will ruin everything just to build my ship model. He would raise the California redwoods just to have his perfect toothpick-sized reenactment of the egg carrier. That's it's. I'm not saying that Colors is wrong by any means. Mind control, Eggman, certainly. But I don't know. Of the two, I think I like Unleashed better. And just for the classic sake of it, the Sonic 3 and Knuckles plotline. His Death Star gets dropped onto this heavenly floating island, and the first thing he does is scam the locals into doing his dirty work so he can steal the Master Emerald and launch again.
Yeah.
Twice, I might add. He gets knocked down, and he gets up again, because you're never going to keep him down. I don't know, that kind of just single-minded dedication to, I'm going to make this thing work.
Yeah.
You aren't going to stop me.
Yes.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah. I do find it kind of silly how much he relies on unleashing eldritch horrors on the world. Like, why do you keep doing this? You didn't learn your lesson. You didn't learn your lesson from Chaos. You didn't learn your lesson from anything that happened in Unleashed. You didn't learn your lesson even from Sonic Heroes, and that was a monster of your own design.
Yeah, well, I mean, he didn't even make it to the opening cutscene in Heroes.
That's true.
He booted up Neo Metal and got promptly locked in the closet. He's like, well, let's see, who do I have in the yellow pages? Yes, the Chaotix. Maybe they can help. Credit where it's due, though. In Generations, he's stranded in space. He finds the nebulous remains of the Time Eater, which I still think is some leftover of Solaris. And not only manages to bend its power to his will, but it doesn't blow up in his face. He never loses control of the Time Eater.
That's true. He doesn't. But Sonic still defeats him anyway.
Yeah.
And that's with 2 Eggmans. There were 2 Eggmen.
2 Sonics.
True. So, whatever.
And credit where it's due. He actually thought outside, after Perfect Chaos, after the bungle with Shadow, after everything on Unleashed, he's like, okay, this time, get a little bit of help and keep the time-devouring space entity under control.
Yes.
So.
He got some help from the best person he could think of. Himself!
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I guess Iblis, technically.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm going to find these flames of destruction. That's not going to ruin anything. Oh, wait.
It always blows up in his face. Almost always.
I mean, what could be worse than Perfect Chaos? Oh, what if it was on fire?
For a scientific robotics mad genius, he sure is freaking dumb. All right, here we go. Here's a question from Unique. What would happen if Dr. Starline the Platypus met Dr. Phinettivis the Echidna? Would they team up, or would they be rivals of sorts? What kind of dynamic would they have? We need answers, Ian! Answers! Also, I hope I spelled Phinettivis right.
You did.
Yes.
And I feel like we touched upon this in a previous episode.
I don't remember exactly, but maybe something similar to it.
It's been a bit one way or the other, but I feel like they would work together initially, all the time plotting to stab the other one in the back.
Well, of course.
And ultimately, I think Phinettivis would beat him to the punch. Or if Starline surprises me and is the first to go on the offensive, Phinettivis would be able to maneuver around it. The two of them definitely have similar flair for the dramatic, but I think of the two of them, Phinettivis is the more immediately dangerous of the two. Phinettivis is a bad man. Don't get me wrong. He is a destructive, manipulative, evil individual, but he focuses too much on the prep and the execution, whereas Phinettivis is quite happy to just do. He has his long plans, sure, but he's not sitting there waxing philosophically about how brilliant he is that he did this. He takes satisfaction in his work, absolutely, but he's not going to leave extensive vlogs about why he's so smart in what he does.
Apparently,
Starline does. Starline is much, much, much more hindered by his own ego.
Apparently, you mentioned Phinettivis twice.
Did I?
Yeah.
Well then.
Yeah. Oh well.
I have no idea when that was, so I can't correct myself. Point is, they would be very fun together for a bit until they went for each other's throats, and then it would be absolutely horrifying. And woe be to anyone caught in the crossfire.
It's kind of like Eggman and Wily in that respect. Maybe less of a bromance between the two, though.
No. They wouldn't get romantic. It would be a amicable
business Business. All
arrangement.
business.
Yeah. They appreciate the mindset of each other. Fellow doctors and evil, but nah,
not the same.
I don't think Phinettivis is Starline's type.
No, probably not. Starline's probably not Phinettivis' type either.
No, Phinettivis doesn't have a type.
Maybe you don't know that. Except
I
you do. You created him and you wrote him, and yeah. And now people want to know what Starline's type is. Eggman.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Here's a question from Dank Waifu. Finally, we got some dank waifus on this show. It's about time.
Oh, Lord.
With all the memory questions people have asked this episode, this is from a previous YouTube comment, by the way. I got a bit of a weird one of my own. I know the Freedom Fighters lost their memories of the old universe, but did they still remember what they remembered as their new selves? For example, if Amy got her memories of Rob restored and went all, oh yeah, Rob, my cousin, good times, and then lost her memories of the old world, would she still remember the things she had most prominently thought of? Or did the new universe apply some laser-guided amnesia to things related to old Mobius? It brings up some heavy stuff if they did remember anything. Like, did they feel the need to grieve anyone? Kind of like Future Sonic did when he lost his kids? I think I'm going too deep into something you were asked to include as a way of bridging continuity, but it's something I've thought about.
In summation, do they remember remembering? And this is why I hate that plot point so much. But no, they remember nothing. Just to keep it simple. At most, they would have this lingering memory of, oh yeah, there was that bit where I remembered something, but it would be intangible. That kind of very tip of your tongue, back of your mind thing that can never really focus on and then is lost again. So that they have none of the baggage from the previous incarnations.
Yeah. Well, at least that's better than sort of the weird way the Arrowverse kind of treated things after merging universes. And I don't know if DC Comics in general just kind of did it this way, but it was like they don't even bother acknowledging it until it becomes a plot point. Like nobody's affected by it, nobody cares until all of a sudden they're like, "Oh yeah, this universe is different from the other universe, so things happened differently than I have two sets of memories about it. But I'm not going through any sort of trauma or have been dealing with this since it happened. It's just now all of a sudden I just know it. It's just what? That's even worse. At least you made him fade over time.
And see, that's why I did it, because I didn't want to run into that kind of problem.
Yeah.
Because, something comes along, and if they're supposed to remember this, or if it runs parallel to something that happened earlier, someone would say, well, why didn't they react to it? Why didn't they acknowledge it? Why didn't it affect them? And it's like, because I don't want to be keeping track of a new continuity and the old continuity that we can't reference anyway. To make it
trying to reconcile this stuff. It's like, no, just whatever. Just yeah, it's a reboot. Don't do it half-assed. If you're gonna do it, go all the way. All right. Speaking of going all the way, we're going all the way on a break right here, but we will be back soon with more questions on the BumbleKast. And we're back with a question from Toon Man. Ian, did you or Aaliyah ever get turnaround sheets or fan art of your Mobian characters? I remembered or rediscovered that you got cameoed in Antoine and Bunny's wedding, but I don't remember what animals you were. Bear and chameleon? I'm also curious what Kyle's would be, LOL.
For that, I did very quick turnarounds for Tracy's reference, because I didn't know quite how he would stage it. but I intentionally left them black and white because I didn't want them to be properly colored necessarily. And I didn't go into great detail over characterization or appearance or whatever, because I wanted them to just be elements within a crowd. I thought it would be one of those things where I could turn to the page and point to it and say, if you look close, that's what that is. Because I didn't want to abuse the position I was in. Tracy put them front and center. And
and actually researched all the colorization and proper design and everything. Yeah.
And gave them to a colorist who is kind of notorious for being off model with colors. So that was both really, really cool. And also I kind of felt my heart drop in my stomach. It's like, oh no, this is going to read poorly if people know what this is. But, Tracy did it out of friendship, and he did it for all the right reasons. So, no issue there. That, and it's been so long, it's not really like it's a problem. But, there weren't like official turnarounds by anybody with actual skill. I just did that for Tracy's quick reference. And for reference, yes, Chameleon and Potto on my end. Potto. Look it up on Wikipedia. They are neat little critters.
Yep.
Did you have a Sonic fan character back in the day?
Maybe not Sonic specifically, but I mean, someone who could probably be adapted into it, but that was way a long time ago. It was an armadillo character. This was like, geez, I was still in high school. 2003, 2004-ish, yeah. So, yeah, I had an armadillo character that, I don't know, maybe could have been adapted into something, but that was really it. Didn't really get much use of him, anything like that, but, you could ask Aaliyah about him. No, he was not armored. She's the one who drew him, so,
Oh, man. Maybe I saw that way back in the day.
He probably did. But
oh my god, dude, that was how long ago?
Ages ago. Like I said, like 2003, 2004.
God, almost 20 years ago.
2003. Gosh. 2003 was when I freaking met you guys, practically. Met her, for sure. You were probably around that time, too, when she introduced me to you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Man, oh man.
Long time ago. I'd probably come up with something else now, though. Anyway, here's a question from Reed Silverfang. Does Whisper get panic attacks?
I would imagine she had in the past. She has healed and is in a better place right now.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear it. She deserves to be happy. Here's a question from Teaser. So you know how Shadow is biologically immortal? Doesn't age. Where is he in Silver's future?
Good question. Like in 06, he was sealed away by humanity, never to be roused again. But that's not canon because of the time shenanigans. So I don't know. Maybe he's just out there being a grumpus by himself.
Thought maybe he was sealed away like Zero in Mega Man X, and then he wakes up in the far future, and everything's gone to crap, and now he's the one who's got to save the world from a evil Sonic computer. We did it. We came up with a brand new plot for a brand new Sonic franchise. Definitely.
Hedgehog 2.
Definitely.
Sonic to fight the copy Sonics.
Yes, exactly. That's totally original. Do not steal. Anyway, talk to me, Sega. I've got ideas. They're not good ones, but they're ideas. Here's one from Ellie Plays Games. Were there any Mega Man games you weren't going to adapt in, Archie? I know you made references to Gold Empire due to Mayor El Dorado cameos, as well as reference to Battle and Chase and Crossover. But what about stuff like Game Gear, DOS, Mega Man Strategy, and Rockboard? And also, I screwed up. It's X-Over, not Crossover. Yeah.
It should be Crossover.
I think it is technically Crossover, but it's also X-Over because it's Rockman X.
Yeah.
Whatever. Go play Dive instead.
Yeah. Which has sunk its claws into me really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I still haven't done the connected to a controller yet, because if I do that, I don't have a good way of setting up the phone so I can see it. So
You need a little stand or a little clip for your controller.
yeah, man, I don't know.
Can do.
I know. I feel silly buying some kind of peripheral just to play one phone game, but
Why not? People buy entire peripherals just to play Fortnite.
yes, well, people have money, Kyle.
At least you're
That's the big difference between them and I.
I mean, you don't know what their financial situation is.
Well, well enough that they can buy peripherals to play a phone game. Anyway, I wanted to acknowledge or adapt as much as possible, even beyond what should be reasonable. I do remember that I had a super loose outline for the DOS games, where those robot masters were cheap Chinese knockoffs that were running amok because the main computer was on the fritz. And let's see, strategy was the one with Ran, right?
I think so, yeah.
I don't know if I would try to have folded that in there, because Ron was a Chinese robot master, or robot too, wasn't he? Or at least he had Chinese trap. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But I did want to include Ron just because he looked really cool, and I love doing the obscure stuff. What was Rockboard?
I don't know.
Because it's familiar, but I can't place it.
Is that a board game?
Maybe. It's been so long since I looked at most of these up. I do know that early on, we were told that we couldn't touch Mega Man and Base 2 because that was on the Wonder Swan, and the rights to that were funny. And I think the DOS games were off limits because they too were some kind of weird rights issue. And I still wanted to try to find some way to acknowledge or like quasi adapt them, but you know, given how many games we would be covering, probably some of them could stand to be axed, to be honest. I mean, the Game Boy games and the main series games and Wily Wars, that's a lot of material to go through.
Yeah. I'm receiving word that Strategy had a character named Fang.
Fang, there we go.
Yeah.
My bad. It's been a while.
Yeah, there's some really weird, obscure stuff. You're the kind of guy. You're the guy who was pulling obscure stuff for Sonic, like constantly. So I think people were expecting you to do the same for Mega Man, and oh boy, you delivered.
Oh, I certainly wanted to. Were there Game Gear games? I don't remember.
There was one. Games. There's one Game Gear game. I think it's just called Mega Man. And it's not a bad game actually, but the problem is that it uses same full size sprites, so the resolution of your views of the viewport is very small. So you're making a lot of blind jumps and working off on like leaps of faith and stuff like that. So it kind of suffers from that a little bit. Some of the early Game Boy games do that too. So.
The one that I wanted to do, and I figured we'd plug this in for a free comic book day if we ever got the chance, was that Mega Man's processors would be overheating, and he would basically experience a fever dream. And as the data is trying to reconcile itself, it turns into Mega Man Soccer. And the captain of Wily's team is Bondman, and he's just completely unstoppable.
So you were actually planning on adapting Mega Man Soccer
as a fever dream
at some point? Oh man! See, I was the one who was like championing that. You know, I was like, you gotta do Mega Man Soccer, man. And you were like, Meanwhile, probably in secret, you were like, here's my plan for Mega Man Soccer. But in real life, you were like, Mega Man Soccer, that's stupid. Why would I do that?
Well,
you're trying to trick me.
Not necessarily, because like John Gray has done so many times, is he would bring up something absolutely asinine, like, hey, bring back the NURBS. And I'd be like, no, under no condition. And then that seed would be planted. It's like, yeah, but how would you do it? And it's like, I don't want to think about this. Get out of my head, Charles. Reference it twice in a week.
I know, it's
Really
2 episodes in a row
here on the BumbleKast.
2 episodes in a row. Yes, we are nothing if not original around here. Definitely
Consistent, at least.
Yeah, something like that. All right, here's a question from Red. My friends and I noticed that in the early Archie issues, when Jeffrey was assembling the Secret Service, Valdez once referred to Stu as a baby. We have some ideas, but we were curious as to what ages you thought Stu and the Down Under Freedom Fighters were.
They were all comparable to Sonic's age. Valdez's assertion made no sense at the time and was never referenced at all in any way afterwards. So I do try to be beholden to a lot of the weird continuity quirks of that period, but when it's just that incongruous, I'm not even gonna bother with it. Did I pronounce that correctly? Incongruous. If it don't do right, if it don't fit and make with the thinky smart stuff.
Thinky smart stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, look at me. I'm the English major with all my large words, my personally large lexicon with its thinky smart words.
Your thinky smart stuff. Yes. Go ahead.
Here's your lesson for the day, kids. You strut your stuff, you run the risk of falling on your face.
I just don't bother strutting and just fall on my face. I just cut
Saves
out
you a step.
Yeah, just cut out the middleman.
Quite literally.
Here's a question from Tic Tic. Ian, when it comes to writing Zavok, do you fully embrace how much of a blatant Bowser clone he is? Or do you attempt to make him something different? Is Bowser even in your mind when you're writing the character?
No, because Bowser's more fun.
Yeah. Bowser's a different... I mean, people are like... People say that Zavok's just a Bowser ripoff, but Bowser's a different character to me. I don't really see... I see some similarities, but I don't really see like anything identical there.
Well, I mean, mechanically, I see it. It's pretty blatant.
I mean,
large boss monster who breathes fire and grows super big in your lava castle in the final level. He's Bowser.
Yeah, that's Bowser for sure. But like the personality wise and stuff.
Bowser's big and bombastic and he's evil and loving it. And deep down, he's not really that bad of a guy. He just does bad things. There's a cuddliness to Bowser from the right angle.
Yes.
He loves his son. He's a good dad. He's a bad person, but he's a good dad. Zavok he's the eloquent monster.
Yeah.
He's a warlord. He's not a good person at all. There's nothing cuddly about him. He's just a nasty individual. I hesitate to say it, but Zavok is more hardcore than Bowser is. Bowser's far more successful. Let's not even pretend, but
he also has...
Bowser would be the one to protect Junior from Zavok. Let's put it that way. Don't be like him, kid. You can be better.
Yes. You see, Bowser also has way better theme songs. Way better music associated with Bowser than with Zavok. Just putting that out there.
I mean, Zavok hasn't had enough time to really have a library of music.
I know, but still, I mean, it's hard to compete with like freaking all the bombastic orchestra and the freaking metal guitars that are just in your face. I don't know, Bowser, man, he's just... Yeah, I love Bowser's themes in games. He's just, so good.
You're not wrong. I'm just saying Bowser has a lot more to bring to the table. Zavok has That one good one from Lost World. And did he even have a battle theme in Forces? I don't remember.
I don't remember either. I mean, I know Bowser has like 30 years of history on Zavok, so... But still, who knows? Maybe someday Zavok will come into his own. Here's a question from the real Waluigi. How would you handle a story or adventure focusing on the younger cast of Sonic, i.e. Tails, Cream, and Charmy? How would the chemistry between them work? Okay, this is phrased weird. How would the chemistry between them work out, and would any of them butt heads with each other?
The only problem child I see in that scenario is Charmy. Because Tails is rather mature for his age, and Cream is incredibly polite. So you don't really have a lot of volatile contents there aside from Charmy. And I can imagine that would be your major point of friction. Kind of depends on the nature of the story. Why is it the three of them together? Where are the adults? But overall, they'd be a competent enough group, because Charmy, as flighty as he is, fly type joke, can still get results. And Cream and Tails are fairly accomplished in their own right. So there might be some trepidation, but I can see Tails kind of taking command of the situation pretty easily and wrangling them, and Cream just being generally supportive and has to tell Cheese to stop having that slap fight with Charmy. Keep your hands to yourself. Mr. Charmy, please keep your hands to yourself.
I like how they're all fly type too. That's
a
pretty,
point.
That's pretty funny. What a coincidence. Here's one from Yummy M. You sometimes mention that Sega doesn't like you referencing old material from the games. What constitutes old in terms of the modern side of the brand, and is there a specific cutoff year? Do re-releases and new appearances of older characters in newer games, including mobile ones, take them out of the old hole? Or is it more complicated than that?
Here's the thing. They prefer we not reference the newest game because they don't want us stealing its thunder, which makes sense. You know, if a game's just come out, you don't want the story elements spoiled by a book. You want to go out and play the game. And they don't want to necessarily reference any of the older material because they don't want you to have to go through a back catalog to understand what's going on, which, again, fair point. Which means we can't really reference any of the games because anything that's past is old and anything that's new is new. So that leaves us in the difficult position of just kind of pitching what we can and see what sticks. The more broad the reference, the better. And if it's not too detailed, I guess. Like, point of reference, I thought Neo Metal Sonic was going to get flagged, which is why I had backup plans. And when that got approved, I was like, okay. But while we were using Neo Metal, we couldn't really go back and super detail what happened in Heroes. Like, you won't, if you go through season 1, you're not going to find like this in-depth retread of what happened in Heroes, because we're not referencing that. We're just treating Neo Metal as the new character for the story. And the references to where Neo Metal was during Forces and how he came to be in the present story, those were actually dictated by Sega. They said, here's the reasoning to use. It's like, all right, that works for me, so roll with it. So it's kind of catch and catch can, you know? It's something that I'm trying to work against, or at least loosen a little bit. I feel like we can reference older game material in a way that treats it almost like an old comic story.
Right.
So you don't have to play the whole game. You don't have to understand all the nuances.
No, yeah, I know. That seems kind of weird. It's like you can still like bring back old stuff and have nice references for the fans who get it, but you can still make it work without anybody feeling like they have to go back and, watch all of Adventures of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog just because you brought Breezy in.
Yeah.
It's like, what? No.
I mean, they also don't want too tight a connection between the games and the comics, which is another thing that I'm trying to massage. But
that's weird, but okay.
I mean, again, it makes enough sense that, if the comic does something that eventually contradicts the game or vice versa, then there's a continuity headache there. But I feel like if they're paying attention to the material and we are responsible with what we do with the book, it shouldn't be an issue. But
I get it for the newest game, yeah, but like older games.
Case in point, we know another game is coming down the line. So you might ask, okay, where does season 1 and season 2 of the comic fit? And just say between Forces and the new game.
Right.
Well, what's the time frame? Well, don't worry too much about that because time doesn't really flow in Sonic.
No.
Just accept that it happens. Where does Team Sonic Racing happen in all this? Well, I don't know. It probably makes more sense happening before Forces. Because that's the easiest place to put it without it being a hassle. This is one of the few times where I actually will endorse the idea of loose continuity. Normally, I hate it. Hate it with a passion because I feel like if you're going to tell an engaging, ongoing narrative, you need to have the pieces fit. But at the same time, with a license like this, where what Sonic is going to be changing as the brand evolves over the years, not everything is going to fit perfectly throughout the entire history of Sonic. So in those cases, yeah, okay, massage it a little bit. Kind of like with, say, okay, take Forces in the comic, for instance. Tangle, let's say that they are all one continuity, just for argument's sake. Where's Tangle in Sonic Forces? Well, you didn't see her. That's not where the story went. Or, where's the United Federation? Well, we didn't see that region of the world. We only saw animal regions. There you go. That's your explanation. Is it airtight? Not necessarily. But not every single game and every single story is going to be able to cover every single element in the franchise.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's tough too because there's so much history of Sonic that is like there's no continuity between so much. There's so much history of Sonic that just has no connections at all between each other. So it's like how do you reconcile that? I mean, apparently Sega's just decided they're not going to. And I don't blame them because it's a lot of stuff, but yeah, I think you could still make it work. You made it work once, actually twice, really. I think you can make it work a third time. And with that, we are at our last question of the week. In a hypothetical adventure, this one is from Godzilla. In a hypothetical adventure starring Styx the Badger and Bean the Dynamite, who would take the role of Straight Man? Would Styx understand Bean's insane ramblings? Would Bean want to start a conspiracy podcast with Styx?
Overall, I think Styx would be the anchor of the two, loosely speaking, because for all her conspiracies and wild nonsense, she's not as nutty as Bean. She is a competent and relatable character. She's friends with the others for a reason. She's not just some crazy babbling monster out in the forest. She is, just a character with the others. She just has her quirks. Whereas Bean is more of a walking punchline. So I could see Styx leading the narrative and setting Bean up for most of the non sequiturs. They would just happen to agree more often than not.
Of course.
Or set it up for that Bean to rattle something off. You have a beat, and then Styx says, "You're crazy." Yeah, Styx has that weird, raised eyebrow face. She sometimes gets like, what? Even she's confused. I like it. Anyway, that's it. That's all we got. Yep. Before we wrap it up, we're going to give a big thank you for everyone who continues to make this show possible. Big thank you to Daniel H., Alex P., James K., John B., Jennifer R., Roboting Home, Samuel P., Sam Cybercat, Torchbound, Justin G., Mike B., Coupland Crew 128, Diane W., Bradley TT, Andrew D., Scruffy Matt, Chris A., Sony, the screen's not scrolling!
Who's the screen's not scrolling? That's a new one.
Salute Your Cat, John M., Noni, Dave M., Off, Don B., Yami M., Sin Fritzley, HK, Lisa M., Silly String, Chevelle, J. Frost, Piggy Bank, Jib, Hero of Light 13, Blue Title Gamer, Dick Dick, Justin S., Final Neil, Ryan D., Speedweed, Jonathan D., Rachel W., Godzilla, Chaos Universe, Sonic Legacy, Daniel B., Daddler the Dalek, PC the Unicorn, Dove, Preston M., Red the Supernamic, Pandolce, Joe S., Flixie, Chad, Jonathan R., Chase L., Owen B.D., Ben Wolfsbane, Bernard Pixel, Creative Name, Les Invader Turbo Tunis, Danny the White, Sapphire Scarletta, Turbo Crooker, John the Real Waluigi, Noah S., Carlos, Louis J., Lexi Loves Jojo, Corjiro Highwind, Big Piggy's Lover, Alphamon Oryukin, Nietzsche, Michael, and Zanderoni the Painter.
Yeah, my favorite patron is The Page Isn't Scrolling. That's my favorite. That's my favorite patron. Hello, newcomers and oldcomers as well. Hello, all of you. Thank you. Where can people find you on the internet, Ian?
Find my personal website at bumbleking.com and follow me on Twitter at IanFlynnBKC. Kyle, what about you?
You can also find me on Twitter at KyleJCRB. Over there getting in way too much trouble these days. You can also head on over to kngi.org. That's where you can find all the archived episodes of the BumbleKast and many other great shows to check out.
That's going to wrap us up for this week. We will see you Monday for another another priority Q&A episode. Yeah. I mean, patrons are included, but there's other ways.
There are ways. We have ways of making you ask questions.
You are asking the questions here.
Yes. We don't need you to ask any more questions right now, but there are plenty of ways. Thanks, guys. We will see you next time. You've been listening to the BumbleKast, a co-production of Bumble King Comics and the KNGI Network. Original theme music composed by Ken Coda Snyder. Remixed intro by T-Lopes. Find out more information, along with podcast feeder links, MP3 downloads, and more at bumbleking.com and kngi.org.
I'm sorry, humor me for just a moment, but Toon Man.
Yes, I know. I made
this question on my show. Save me.
I made this joke last time.
Let me answer what you ask.
I thought you didn't.
I'm sorry, Toon Man.
I thought you didn't know music.
Well, no, I don't know music in general, but like that was my personal groove for entirely too long. Okay. Like I am super delighted whenever that comes on the radio.
I'm glad you know, at least you know Soundgarden.
Yeah. Come on. Okay. That and Black Hole Sun was like yeah, okay. So that's not mockery of you, Toon Man. You bring joy and happiness to me.
Chris Cornell is awesome, yes.
Thank you.